I am sitting in a lawyer's office right now holding a folder that contains the end of my 6-year marriage to Diane. 6 years ago, I proposed to her at the park by the lake, thinking I knew what love meant. We built what I thought was a life together, laughing over burnt dinners and dreaming about our future on lazy Sunday mornings. But when did everything change? When did the woman who promised forever become the person who would destroy everything? The night she screamed those words at me, "I regret marrying you," I never imagined my world could shatter so completely. I thought I married my best friend. I never thought the woman who promised forever would be the one to destroy everything. But what she did not know was, I had proof. If you have ever felt blindsided by someone you trusted, drop a comment below and tell me where you are watching from. And if you want to hear how I turned the tables, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. Let me take you back to the beginning. Diane and I met in college when we were both 21. She was studying marketing full of energy and ambition while I was the practical one, studying accounting at a state university in Ohio. She came from money. Her father ran a successful real estate company in Connecticut, and her mother spent her days organizing charity galas. My background was different. My dad was an electrician, my mom a nurse at the local hospital. We were solid middle class, comfortable, but not wealthy. Despite our different worlds, we clicked. She loved my stability, or at least, that is what she said. I loved her fire, the way she lit up a room when she walked in. After graduation, we dated for 2 years before I saved up enough to buy her a ring. Nothing fancy, just a simple diamond that cost me 3 months of salary from my first accounting job. When I got down on one knee at that park with the sunset reflecting off the water, she cried and said yes. That moment felt perfect. We got married in a small ceremony 2 years later. Her parents wanted something bigger, more extravagant, but we kept it intimate. Just close friends and family at a vineyard in upstate New York. I remember dancing with her under string lights, thinking this was it. This was my forever. We moved to Portland, Oregon for my job at a mid-sized furniture manufacturing company. I was making $55,000 a year, which felt like good money to me. Diane found work as a marketing coordinator at a tech startup, pulling in $48,000 annually. We rented a 2-bedroom apartment in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. White walls, hardwood floors, a small balcony, where we would drink coffee on Saturday mornings. We cooked dinner together most nights, watched movies on the couch, and took one affordable vacation each year. Life was simple, stable, and I thought she was happy. I really did. But 6 months before everything fell apart, Diane got promoted. She became a senior marketing manager at a growing tech company downtown. Her salary jumped to $85,000 a year. I was proud of her, truly. I took her out to celebrate, bought her flowers, told her she deserved it. But something shifted after that promotion. She started dressing differently, wearing expensive blazer sets and designer heels. She came home later, always talking about work dinners and networking events. She mentioned names I did not know, colleagues who drove luxury cars and vacationed in Europe. One name kept coming up more than others: Derek, her boss. Derek just bought a Tesla Model S. Do not you think electric cars are the future? Casey, Derek got promoted to director at 32. What is your career plan? At first, I brushed it off. She was excited about her new job, surrounded by successful people. It was natural for her to be inspired. But then the comments got sharper. My coworker just got promoted to director at 32. What is your career plan, Casey? I tried harder. I cooked her favorite meals, bought her flowers every Friday, suggested date nights. But she always had an excuse. I am too tired. I have to prep for a meeting. Can we just watch something and go to bed? The intimacy dried up. She stopped touching me, stopped looking at me the way she used to. When I tried to talk about it, she would sigh and say, "I am just stressed with work. Do not overthink it." Then, 3 months before the end, things escalated. Diane came home one evening talking about houses. She wanted to move to a bigger place in a nicer neighborhood. I pulled up our finances and showed her the numbers. We could not afford it, not yet. I suggested we save for another year or two, build up a down payment. Her face darkened. Everyone at my level has a house. Why cannot we? I explained that we were doing fine, that we had a stable life, and just needed patience. She stood up, her voice cold. Maybe if you had more ambition, we would not be stuck in this tiny apartment. That hurt, more than I expected. But I kept my calm. I am working hard. We have a stable life. She laughed bitterly. Stable is not enough anymore, Casey. Those words cut deep. I did not sleep that night. I lay next to her, feeling the space between us grow wider with every breath. I decided to do something about it. I asked my boss for a raise, started looking into certification courses to advance my career. I took on extra hours, hoping for a year-end bonus. I thought if I could prove myself, if I could show Diane I was trying, things would get better. But she did not care. She barely noticed. She kept coming home later, always smelling like wine and unfamiliar cologne. When I asked where she had been, she would say, team-building events. You would not understand. One night, about 2 months before everything exploded, Diane left her phone on the kitchen counter while she took a shower. It buzzed repeatedly, lighting up with messages. I was not the kind of husband who snooped. I trusted her. But when I glanced over, I saw a name. D. The message preview read, "Cannot wait to see you tonight, beautiful." My heart stopped. My hands shook as I picked up the phone, but it was locked. I heard the water shut off. Diane walked out wrapped in a towel, and when she saw me holding her phone, her eyes went wide. Why are you touching my phone? I asked her straight. Who is D? She snatched the phone from my hand, her face flushed. It is Derek, my boss. We have a project deadline. Stop being paranoid. She turned and walked into the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I stood there alone in the kitchen, the silence pressing down on me. That night, I could not sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of what I had seen. I did not want to be that guy, the jealous husband who accused without proof. But I also could not ignore the knot in my stomach. The next morning, I made a decision. If something was going on, I needed to know for sure. I could not live in this fog of suspicion. I found a private investigator online, a guy named Howard, a 50-year-old former cop with good reviews. I called him during my lunch break, explained the situation, and he agreed to help. His fee was $3,000 for 3 weeks of surveillance. It wiped out a chunk of my savings, but I had to know the truth. Howard started following Diane the next week. He sent me updates every few days. She has a routine, he told me over the phone. Every Tuesday and Thursday she leaves work and drives to the Marriott downtown. She stays for 2 to 3 hours, then leaves alone. My stomach turned. I asked him to get photos, anything concrete. He said he would. By the second week, Howard called me with news. I have got something. I met him at a diner across town. He slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside were photos. Clear, undeniable photos. Diane standing outside the Marriott, kissing a tall man with blonde hair and a tailored suit. Another photo of them walking hand in hand into the lobby. Another of them leaving separately, Diane's face glowing with a smile I had not seen in months. I stared at the photos, my chest tight. I could not breathe. Howard cleared his throat. The guy is Derek Hammond, senior director at her company. Married, 2 kids. I nodded slowly, unable to speak. Howard left me alone with the envelope. I sat there for an hour, looking at those images, feeling everything I thought I knew crumble. But I did not cry. I felt numb, hollow. And then slowly, something else rose up inside me. Anger. Not the hot, reckless kind, but cold and focused. I scheduled a meeting with a divorce attorney the next day. Her name was Margaret Taylor, a sharp woman in her 50s, with a reputation for winning tough cases. She reviewed the photos and nodded approvingly. This is solid evidence. We can file for divorce on grounds of adultery, Oregon is a no-fault state, but this will help with asset division. I leaned forward. I want more than that. I want everyone to know what she did. Margaret raised an eyebrow. Legally, you can share evidence with relevant parties, but be strategic. Do not defame. Just present facts. I nodded. I understood. I hired Howard for 1 more week. I needed everything. Phone records, financial trails, anything that painted the full picture. He delivered. Text messages pulled from a cloud backup, showing explicit conversations between Diane and Derek. Messages like, "You make me feel alive, Derek." Casey never did. Credit card statements showing Diane used our joint account to buy gifts for him. Expensive dinners, a watch, even a weekend trip to wine country, I thought was a work conference. Every piece of evidence felt like another knife in my back, but I collected it all. I was building a case not just for the courts, but for the truth. 3 days later, Margaret had the divorce papers ready. I read through them carefully, my name and Diane's printed in black ink. Grounds for divorce, irreconcilable differences, and adultery. I signed my name at the bottom, and for the first time in months, I felt something like relief. Not happiness, but clarity. I knew what I had to do. I planned everything for a Friday evening. I knew Diane would be home by 6:15. I prepared copies of the evidence on a USB drive and printed key photos. I also wrote a short letter laying out the facts. No emotion, just truth. I wanted her family to understand what happened, not from her filtered version, but from reality. At 6:15, I heard the door open. Diane walked in, setting her purse on the counter. She looked at me, sitting calmly on the couch. "What is wrong with you?" "You look weird." I stood up, holding the envelope. "These are divorce papers." She laughed, actually laughed. "What is this, a joke?" I handed them to her. "Open them." Her smile faded as she read the first line. "On grounds of adultery." Her face went pale. "You had me followed. I did what I had to do." She tried to recover, straightening her shoulders. "This is ridiculous. You are overreacting." I pulled out my tablet and opened the photo gallery. I scrolled through, slowly letting her see every image. Her and Derek kissing, holding hands, entering the hotel. Her face crumbled. She tried to speak, but no words came. "Still think I am overreacting." She sat down heavily, her hands shaking. "It is not what you think. Derek and I, it is complicated." I laughed, a bitter sound. "Complicated. You told me you regret marrying me, that I am average, that you settled." She looked up, tears forming. "I was angry. I did not mean it." "Yes, you did. You meant every word." I took a breath, steadying myself. "I have sent copies of these photos and messages to your parents, your sister, and Derek's wife." Her eyes went wide with horror. "What, you cannot do that?" "I already did. About 10 minutes ago." She stood up, panicking. "Casey, please. This will ruin everything." I stayed calm. "You ruined us first. This is just the truth catching up." She sank back down, sobbing. "Please, we can fix this. I will end it with Derek. We can go to counseling." I shook my head. "You do not get it. I do not want to fix this. I want out." She kept crying, begging. "I am sorry. I am so sorry." But sorry was just a word. It did not change what she did, the months of lies, the betrayal. I looked at her one last time. "Sign the papers, Diane." Within 2 hours, her phone exploded. Her mother called furious. Her sister sent a scathing text message. Derek called too, his voice panicked. "My wife knows everything. She is filing for divorce." Diane sat on the floor, her world collapsing around her. I picked up my packed bag and walked to the door. "I will be staying at a friend's place. My lawyer will contact you about the next steps." She did not look up. I paused at the door, one final thought. "You said I am average, but at least I am honest. That is more than I can say for you." I closed the door and walked out into the night air, feeling lighter than I had in months. The weeks that followed were a blur of paperwork and legal proceedings. Diane signed the divorce papers without contest. She did not have much choice. The evidence was overwhelming, and her lawyer advised her to settle quickly. Within 3 months, our marriage was legally over. The apartment, the savings, everything split down the middle. I moved into a small studio apartment across town. It was not much, but it was mine. No memories, no ghosts. Just a fresh start. Diane's life fell apart in other ways too. Her company found out about the affair with Derek. Workplace relationships with superiors were against company policy, and the scandal made headlines internally. She was demoted and eventually left the company. Derek lost his position as senior director, and his wife divorced him, taking primary custody of their 2 kids. I heard through mutual friends that Diane moved back to Connecticut, staying with her parents while she figured out her next steps. Her family was furious with her father especially. He had always liked me, and learning what she did shattered his respect for her. As for me, I threw myself into rebuilding. I enrolled in a CPA certification program, something I had put off for years. Diane used to say I was not ambitious enough, but the truth was, I had been focused on us. Now, with no distractions, I attacked my goals with new energy. I joined a running club and made friends who knew nothing about my past. People who saw me as Casey, not Casey, the guy whose wife cheated. I started therapy too, talking through the pain and betrayal with a counselor who helped me process everything without bitterness. It was not easy. Some nights I would lie awake remembering the good times. The way Diane laughed at my bad jokes, the trips we took, the plans we made. Grief is strange like that. You can mourn something even when you know it was broken. But each week got a little easier. I stopped checking her social media, stopped wondering what she was doing. I focused on myself, on becoming the man I wanted to be, not the man she said I was not. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, my phone rang with a number I did not recognize. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. It was Diane. Her voice was small, tentative. "Casey, can we talk?" I hesitated, then agreed to meet at a neutral coffee shop downtown. I was not sure why I said yes. Maybe I needed closure. Maybe I was just curious. When I arrived, she was already there, sitting at a corner table. She looked different, thinner, her eyes tired and red-rimmed. She stood when she saw me, offering a weak smile. "Thank you for coming." I nodded and sat down. We ordered coffee in silence, the air between us heavy with everything unsaid. Finally, she spoke. "I wanted to say I am sorry. Really sorry. I know it does not change anything, but I needed you to hear it." I took a sip of my coffee, letting her words hang. "I appreciate that." She looked down at her hands. "I lost everything. My job, my family's respect, Derek. Everything." I nodded slowly. Sometimes we need to lose everything to understand what we had. She looked up, tears spilling over. "You were always more than enough, Casey. I was just too blind to see it." I leaned back, considering my words carefully. I am not going to lie and say I am not hurt. I am. But I am also grateful. She looked confused. Grateful, I nodded. "You showed me that I deserve better than someone who sees me as average. I deserve someone who sees my worth." She wiped her eyes. "I do. And I hope you find that." She cried harder, then her shoulders shaking. "I am so sorry. I wish I could take it all back." I reached across the table, not touching her, just close. "I hope you find peace, Diane. I really do. But this is goodbye." We sat for a few more minutes, finishing our coffee in silence. When we left, we hugged briefly, and I felt nothing. No anger, no longing, just acceptance. I walked back to my car, the late afternoon sun warming my face. I felt free, truly free. Looking back now, I realized that the day Diane said she settled for me was actually the day I started choosing myself. For years, I measured my worth by her standards, by whether I was enough for her. But the truth is, I was always enough. She just could not see it. And that was her loss, not mine. The divorce taught me something important. Pain is temporary, but self-respect is forever. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Diane showed me that she valued status and excitement over loyalty and love. And instead of begging her to change, I chose to walk away. That choice saved me. It gave me back my dignity. I am in a better place now. My CPA certification came through and I got a new job at a firm downtown with better pay and real growth opportunities. I am dating again, taking things slow, meeting people who value honesty and kindness. I do not know where life will take me next, but I know one thing for certain. I will never settle again. Not for someone who does not see my value, and not for a life that makes me feel small. Diane texted me a few months ago. She got a new job, moved to Seattle, and is trying to rebuild her life. She said she learned a lot and hopes I am doing well. I wished her the best and meant it. Holding on to anger would only hurt me. She made her choices and I made mine. Now we both have to live with them. If there is one thing I want anyone listening to take away from my story, it is this. You teach people how to treat you. For too long, I accepted being undervalued because I thought love meant sacrifice. But real love does not diminish you. It does not make you feel average or less than. Real love builds you up. And if someone cannot do that, then they do not deserve you. So to anyone out there feeling stuck in a relationship where you are not appreciated, where your partner makes you feel small or unworthy, hear me. You deserve better. You deserve someone who sees your worth, who chooses you every single day, not someone who treats you like a backup plan. Do not wait for them to change. Do not waste years hoping they will wake up and realize what they have. Choose yourself. Walk away. It will hurt maybe for a long time. But on the other side of that pain is freedom. And freedom feels a whole lot better than staying somewhere you are not wanted. I did not just survive Diane's betrayal. I became someone who would never settle again. And that choice, that moment when I decided I was worth more, was the best decision I ever made. Because I did not just walk away from a bad marriage. I walked toward a life where I define my worth, where I choose people who choose me back. And that life, it is pretty incredible. So if you made it this far, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where someone made you feel like you were not enough? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming betrayal and finding yourself again. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for listening, and remember, you are worth so much more than someone else's inability to see it. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.